Here's your guide on how to not be a, you know what, when it comes to cruising. So you did it. You booked your dream cruise, your bags are packed, and you're picturing yourself in paradise. You're thinking turquoise water, endless buffets, and pure blissful relaxation. But here's the thing the brochures don't really spell out. You're about to go live on a floating city for a few days with thousands of other people. And there are some unwritten rules that you really need to know. Breaking these rules, it isn't just about getting a few side eyes from fellow passengers. It can get you called out, totally ruin someone else's vacation, and in some extreme cases, even get you booted off the ship at the next port. So if you want to avoid being that person that everyone's whispering about by day 2, you're in the right place. We're gonna count down the essential cruise etiquette rules that you need to know. All right, let's start with where the action is, especially on a sea day, the pool deck or the Lido deck. This is where cruise etiquette is put to the ultimate test, and it's the home of the most controversial, I'll just call it what it is, cruise crime of all. Number 1, don't be a chair hog. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The person that creeps out at the crack of dawn, crawls out of bed, they throw a towel, maybe an old novel, on 4 prime loungers, and then they go disappear for hours. Either they go back to bed, they have breakfast, they usually go about their day, only to magically reappear hours later after lunch. This is, without a doubt, the most complained about behavior on any cruise. Crew members allegedly are now actively removing stuff from chairs that have been abandoned for too long. Most of the major cruise lines have at least some stated policy, but in my experience, enforcement has been less than vigorous. But be a good cruiser. If you're not using the chair, let someone else have it. And for me, when I'm on a cruise, I'm in the pool, I'm not even using a chair. Even if I'm with a family of 3 or 4 of us, we usually just use one chair, and one person will kind of take turns lounging, and we have a place to store our stuff. Look at this as a shared space, not your personal backyard. Number 2, the pool is not a diaper. This might sound harsh, but it's actually a huge health and safety thing. Most cruise lines have a strict no potty training kids rule for the main pools and water slides. And yes, that even goes for kids that are in swim diapers. And I know a lot of parents of littles get really frustrated by this, but think about it this way. One little accident can shut down the entire pool for hours when you're on a cruise ship and there aren't really other alternatives, while they deep clean a code brown. And nobody wants that. I've unfortunately been on many cruises that have had a code brown, also code green, you know, the other stuff. So if you have a kid that is not fully, completely, confidently potty trained, keep them out of the water areas. Now, the pool isn't the only area where people kind of lose their minds and wild out on a cruise ship. Another hot button area is the buffet. Oh, the buffet, the shining beacon of endless food that people love about cruising. It's great, but it can quickly descend into chaos if there aren't people that follow by the etiquette rules. Rule number 3, always grab a clean plate. I've seen some disgusting stuff on cruise ship buffets, so much so that I have a personal policy that I avoid cruise ship buffets at almost all costs. Sometimes it's kind of unavoidable. But please, for the love of Pete, grab a clean plate. When you go back for seconds, thirds, no judgment here, 4th round of the buffet, please get a new clean plate every single time. And this isn't about making more work for the crew, because I know sometimes I'm this way too, of like, oh, I don't want to make more work for these people that work really hard. But this is basic hygiene. If you take a used plate back up to the line after you've eaten off of it, that creates a massive risk of cross-contamination. You touch your used fork, you touch the serving tongs hundreds of other people are going to use. It's just really gross. And this is how and why norovirus runs like wildfire on a lot of cruise ships. Trust me, just grab a new plate. Rule number 4, wash your hands. Yes, wash your hands every single time. Now, I date someone who legitimately has OCD, and one of his things is washing his hands. So I always consider myself a hygienic person, but he definitely takes it to the next level. And now that we cruise together very often, I am very aware of how people do not wash their hands. There are some cruise lines like Holland America Line that do a good job of having hand washing stations in multiple places in the buffet area. And we'll wash our hands and sometimes kind of like sit back and just kind of observe how many other people make use of the hand washing station. And it is shockingly low. Very few people use these stations. So if you see a hand washing station, please use it. Use sanitizer, please use these things, even if you're like, oh, I just washed my hands like 30 minutes ago. And this is what I love about Royal Caribbean. They have their famous washy man. These men and women that stand there at the entrance of the buffets and they play guitar, sing cute songs, and they encourage you to wash your hands. And they really kind of enforce this, and I really appreciate that. So don't be the person who gets weirdly offended and marches right past them like, you're not gonna tell me what to do, I'm not gonna wash my hands. They're doing it to keep everyone on board safe, including you. Rule number 5, acknowledge the dress code. I have seen some cheeks in some cruise ship buffets. I'm talking full out cheeks, right? And there's certain cruise lines where you see more cheeks than others. I'll leave you to guess in the comments what cruise lines you think those are. But believe it or not, cruise lines, even that one, has dress codes, especially in the main dining room and the specialty restaurants at night, but even in the buffet. Now, you don't need a full tuxedo or ball gown, but showing up for formal dinner, damp from the pool, or wearing a wife beater or flip-flops, that's just not the move. It's disrespectful to other passengers. Again, you don't have to dress to the nines, but there is a basic level of what is expected for how you dress, especially on elegant night. And if you don't want to dress up at all on elegant night and you really want to wear your sports shorts, you can still eat in plenty of places on the ship, just not in the MDR. And please cover up even if you're in the buffet. The buffet might feel nice and quick and easy and casual, and you just got out of the pool and you want to grab a bite, but throw up a cover up because no one's trying to see your crack when they're trying to get some lunch, believe me. Next, let's talk about life in the cabins, because your stateroom cabin is your little home away from home, but it's definitely not soundproof. Remember, on a cruise ship, you often have neighbors above, below, and on both sides of you. So this brings me to rule number 6. Please don't slam the doors, especially if you have a balcony room and you've got that balcony door open. When you open the door with the balcony door open, it creates this vacuum effect and it makes the door absolutely slam. Cruise cabin doors are famously heavy and they are designed to latch securely. So if that happens, or if you even just let one go under normal circumstances, it's often going to slam shut with a really loud bang that echoes down the hall. And this can be especially jarring late at night or early in the morning. So be a good neighbor and just be cognizant of closing your cabin door and not letting it just slam. Your fellow passengers will thank you. Rule number 7, hallways are for walking, not talking. It is so easy to forget that on the other side of that wall, when you're walking down these long cruise ship hallways with the staterooms, that there are people that could be napping or just trying to enjoy a quiet moment. Try not to have a boisterous, loud 20-minute catch-up session or a drunken debate in the middle of the hallway, especially in the wee hours of the night and the morning. And if you're heading back to your room late, use your inside voice. I can't tell you how many times I'm pretty patient with people generally. I've actually had to get up and open my door, especially when I've had a stateroom near an elevator and people congregate to say, hey, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to sleep. Could you maybe take your very loud conversation somewhere else? Thank you very much. So the party could be going strong on the Lido deck still, but the cabin hallways, those should be treated like quiet zones. Which brings me to rule number 8. The balcony is not your private club. Look, I love my music just like anyone else, but there's a reason that some cruise lines are starting to limit or outright ban Bluetooth speakers, and that's because other people just don't want to hear your music. As much as you love it, they just don't want to hear it. If you splurged on a balcony, that's especially the case. And remember, sound carries, especially over water and out to sea, and your neighbors can hear and see more than you can think. So this is not the place to blast music from a portable speaker, have a dramatic argument, do a little at least very loudly, or do anything else you wouldn't want a complete stranger seeing, watching, or hearing. And never, ever, ever smoke or vape on your balcony. It's a huge fire hazard. It is strictly banned. Just don't do it. Most cruise ships do have designated smoking areas. Your balcony is not one of them. Now let's move on to the people of cruising. And this is where it all comes down to the golden rule. And that brings us to number 9. Treat the crew with kindness. The crew members on your ship work really hard. They often do 3, 4, 6-month contracts away from their families. They often don't get a day off. I don't know if you realize this. I talk to a lot of cruise ship employees and they don't have an off day. They have off hours. So they'll say, oh, tomorrow I have a 5-hour stretch where I'm off and then I'm back to work. So their working conditions are not the same as we have in the United States. They are thousands of miles from their family and they're there to make sure that you have a safe and fun vacation. So please treat them with respect. A simple please and thank you, or even acknowledging them and seeing them, makes a world of difference. And look, I've had my share of really surly, rude cruise ship employees before too that really test my nerves, but just remember that they're working under very difficult conditions. Being rude or demanding, it isn't just bad form, but can actually get you in trouble with cruise ship security. Or it can get you filmed and go viral on TikTok if you really act a fool. Number 10, understand how tipping works. Most major cruise lines, except for Virgin Voyages, which is one thing I love about Virgin, gratuities are included, but with most major cruise lines, they automatically add a daily gratuity to your onboard account. Usually it's around $16 to $20 per day per person. Now, this tip does not go just to your room steward, which is what a lot of newer cruisers tend to assume. Instead, it gets pooled and distributed amongst a lot of different crew. That can be the dining staff, your room attendant, of course, their assistant, other crew working behind the scenes. Now, you can technically go to guest services, ask them to remove it, but it's generally frowned upon and considered poor etiquette unless the service was genuinely awful. These tips are a huge part of the cruise income, and I do know that there are a lot of cruisers who say, well, I just prefer to bring cash and I tip in cash and then remove gratuities. But remember, when you do tip in cash, you're only giving that to the front-facing folks, not the hardworking people behind the scenes. No judgment here. You got to do what works best for you, but understanding how the tipping is distributed is helpful when it comes to determining how and where and when you want to tip. Rule number 11, elevator etiquette is real. Those elevators on cruise ships are a real pain point. I love the big ships, but I hate their elevators. They're almost always just filled to the max, difficult to get. It's very frustrating, which I don't mind taking stairs, but on these mega ships, they might have 18 decks, and I'm not trying to go up and down 18 decks on a regular basis multiple times a day. So when it comes to elevators, be kind, be polite. If you see an elevator open and it looks packed, just chill. I know it's frustrating. You've probably been waiting for a minute, but wait for the next one. Don't try to just cram yourself on. And if you are able-bodied and you only do have to go up 1 or 2 decks or a few decks, consider taking the stairs and reserve the elevator space for cruisers on scooters or cruisers that have mobility issues and that really, really need it. At the end of the day, honestly, you'll probably get there faster and you'll free up that elevator space for people who really need it. And for the love of all that is holy, when an elevator stops, wait for people to get off before you are rushing on, because that's just poor form. Now let's talk about the rules that aren't just polite suggestions, but the rules that keep you on the ship. Rule number 12, be on time, always. That phrase, the ship won't wait for you, it is not a joke. It is literally the unbreakable law of the seas. If that all aboard time in port on a port day is 4:30 p.m., that means you need to be walking physically onto that ship before 4:30. Not just making your way towards the pier from the local bar. On every single cruise, someone becomes the star of a pier runner video, running desperately towards the ship that's already pulling away or blowing the horn and about to go. Don't be that person. Rule number 13, know your limits. That all-inclusive drink package can feel like a personal challenge, especially on cruise lines like Carnival that limit you to 15 drinks a day, but it's not. Getting wasted is one of the fastest ways to ruin your own vacation and become a nightmare for everybody else. Drunk and disorderly behavior leads to fights, a lot of these brawls that we see on cruises that happen, accidents, and sometimes a trip to ship jail. Yes, there is a real small jail on board, and I've also personally seen this a couple of times. You can sometimes get confined to stateroom jail, where they don't put you in the actual ship jail, but they make you stay in your stateroom, and they put a guard in a chair outside your door, and they don't let you out. Now, in serious cases of drunken and disorderly behavior and fighting and things like that, they may kick you off at the next port, and you gotta pay and find your way back home. Rule number 14, don't skip the safety drill. Oh, the muster drill. We all love it. I know it's not mustard, it's muster. The muster drill or the safety briefing. It is mandatory. And look, I will admit this. I was a douchey cruiser once upon a time. My first ever cruise, pre-COVID, the muster drill used to be terrible. You had to line up out in the heat, you had to wait, and there were always people that were late. And I just heard horror stories and it looked awful. And I'm like, I don't need to do that. They're not gonna know. I'm just gonna chill in my stateroom and unpack and take a nap, and they're not gonna find me. They're going to find you. You have to do the safety drill. And it's usually one of the first things that you do. In fact, I encourage cruisers to make it the first thing you do, so you just get it knocked out. You don't have to worry about it. And post-COVID, these safety drills now are pretty easy peasy, not like they used to be. So it can feel like a drag, especially when you wanna chill or get your cruise started or go hit the bar, but it is a critical safety procedure. Trying to skip it will get you on the cruise ship radar. They will find you, they will hunt you down, and basically you just delay the fun for everyone. Rule number 15, respect the places you visit. Remember that when you're in a cruise port destination, you are an ambassador for your country. I travel a lot on land and at sea, and I see a lot of ugly American behavior, and I see it from other nationalities too, but be mindful of local laws and customs. For example, in some Caribbean countries, it's actually illegal for civilians to wear camouflage clothing. And don't even think about bringing illegal drugs on board. There is a zero tolerance policy, even among cruise lines that typically have been a little more tolerant, shall we say. And one stupid mistake in a foreign country can have serious life-altering consequences. It's just not worth it. So I want to know, what are your cruise pet peeves? What are some poor etiquette or some things that you've seen that just drive you crazy or grind your gears? Let me know in the comments, and let's talk ship.